When the RMS Titanic sank on the cold night of April 15, 1912, the world was left in stunned disbelief. The most luxurious and advanced ocean liner ever built had gone down on its maiden voyage, taking more than 1,500 lives with it. Newspapers called it the Ship of Dreams, but that dream ended in the dark Atlantic, 2.5 miles below the surface. For decades, the Titanic's final resting place was one of the ocean's most enduring mysteries, a ghost hidden beneath crushing pressure, freezing temperatures, and complete darkness. In the aftermath, there were efforts to find her. Early expeditions in the 1910s and 1920s sent ships to the approximate site, but technology simply wasn't ready. The ocean floor was unmapped, sonar had not been invented, and submarines could not survive such depths. All that remained were survivors' stories, rough coordinates, and imagination. The Titanic vanished as completely as if it had never existed, leaving only myths and questions. By the 1950s and 1960s, advances in deep-sea exploration began to rekindle hope. Scientists developed sonar imaging and remotely operated vehicles capable of descending thousands of meters. Still, the Atlantic was vast, and the search area enormous. Finding one shipwreck on a seabed stretching hundreds of miles seemed nearly impossible. Many expeditions tried and failed, their findings limited to speculation and wishful thinking. Yet the world never stopped wondering. The Titanic was more than a wreck. It was a symbol of human hubris and fragile beauty. The question of where she lay beneath the waves fascinated explorers and captured imaginations for generations. It would take a Cold War secret, cutting-edge oceanography, and an unlikely partnership between scientists and the U.S. Navy to finally uncover the truth and reveal the Titanic to the world once more. For over 70 years after its sinking, the Titanic remained a legend lost to the sea. Its location was unknown, its story preserved only through survivors' memories and fragments of history. The coordinates transmitted during the disaster turned out to be inaccurate, placing searchers miles away from the real site. The Atlantic currents, unpredictable and strong, carried the wreck far from where it was believed to rest. The ocean had swallowed the ship, and time began to erase its traces. During the early 20th century, searching for the Titanic was more fantasy than science. Even as submarines and sonar evolved, the immense depth, nearly 12,500 feet, made exploration perilous. At such pressure, any manned vehicle would be crushed like paper. By the 1960s, scientists could explore parts of the deep ocean, but the Titanic lay in one of the most remote and hostile regions on Earth. The mystery grew heavier with every failed expedition. Still, fascination refused to fade. The Titanic represented more than a shipwreck. It was a frozen moment in time. Historians saw it as the final chapter of the industrial age, when human confidence in technology seemed limitless. Families of the lost wanted closure, while filmmakers, authors, and dreamers kept the story alive. The ship's rediscovery became almost a moral quest, as if finding it might bring justice to those who perished. By the late 1970s, a new generation of oceanographers began to imagine a different kind of search. Instead of relying on luck, they sought to use science, satellite mapping, sonar, and deep-sea robotics to scan the ocean floor systematically. But finding one ship in an abyss larger than most countries would require not only innovation, but also a mission shrouded in secrecy, where national defense and human curiosity would unexpectedly collide. The search for the Titanic finally gained momentum in the early 1980s, though few knew the real reason why. Dr. Robert Ballard, an American oceanographer and naval officer, had long dreamed of finding the legendary ship. But deep-sea exploration was expensive, and no one was willing to fund such a risky venture. Then, unexpectedly, the U.S. Navy approached Ballard with a top-secret proposal. They wanted him to locate and inspect two missing nuclear submarines, the USS Thresher and USS Scorpion, which had sunk in the North Atlantic during the Cold War. In return, Ballard could use the remaining mission time and equipment to search for the Titanic. The deal was confidential. Officially, Ballard's expedition was a scientific exploration. In truth, it was part of a classified military operation. Using a new remotely operated vehicle system called ARGO, Ballard and his team could scan the seafloor for hours without risking human life. Unlike previous missions that relied on crewed submarines, ARGO transmitted live video footage from the depths, allowing the crew aboard the research vessel to study the terrain in real time. As Ballard completed the Navy's secret objectives, he had only a few days left to begin his personal quest. He devised a clever strategy. Instead of searching for the Titanic's hull, he would look for debris scattered across the ocean floor. A massive ship breaking apart would have left a trail, plates, boilers, personal belongings, that could lead straight to the wreck. In late August 1985, as Argo's cameras swept the seabed 12,000 feet below, the team spotted something unmistakable, a boiler, identical to one from the Titanic. Silence filled the control room. After 73 years of speculation and failure, the Titanic had finally been found, by accident, under the cover of military secrecy. On September 1, 1985, just after midnight, the world's greatest maritime mystery was solved. The research vessel drifted silently over the North Atlantic as Robert Ballard and his team huddled around glowing monitors. ARGO, the robotic camera sled, was sending back grainy black and white footage from nearly 2.5 miles below. Suddenly, an unmistakable image appeared, a giant boiler, half buried in the silt. Ballard's heart pounded. He recognized it instantly from Titanic's blueprints. Moments later, more debris came into view. Twisted metal, porcelain dishes, and a section of hull. There was no doubt, the Titanic had been found. The control room erupted in disbelief and awe. Some crew members cheered, others cried. Ballard later described the moment as both triumph and tragedy. "We realized we were dancing on graves," he said. The discovery wasn't just scientific, it was deeply human. For decades, the Titanic had been a story of loss and myth. Now, it was real again, resting silently in the dark. Argo's camera continued to drift, revealing haunting scenes frozen in time. Shoes lay side by side in the sand, a reminder of lives lost. China teacups rested neatly in the mud. A massive anchor chain stretched across the seabed. The ship's bow loomed into view next, a ghostly giant still proud in death, its railings intact, its anchor visible, its nameplate partially buried under silt. After 73 years, the Titanic's final resting place was confirmed at a depth of 12,500 feet, about 380 miles south of Newfoundland. The coordinates were recorded, but Ballard kept them secret to protect the site. The world would soon know the truth, but for that night, it belonged only to those few who witnessed the moment history surfaced from the deep. When the Titanic's location was finally confirmed, the next challenge was understanding what remained of the once grand ship. In July 1986, Robert Ballard returned to the site with a new expedition, this time equipped with Alvin, a manned deep-sea submersible, and Jason Jr., a small remotely operated vehicle designed to fit into tight spaces within the wreck. For the first time, human eyes looked directly upon the Titanic since it vanished in 1912. Descending nearly 12,500 feet took over 2 hours. As Alvin approached the ocean floor, the massive bow of the Titanic emerged from the darkness like a sleeping giant. The sight was breathtaking, its railings still intact, its anchors resting firmly in the silt. The ship's name, though partially obscured, was visible. Cameras rolled continuously as Ballard and his crew explored the wreck, documenting details that had been lost for generations. The ship had broken in two before sinking, scattering debris across a 2-mile-wide area. The bow section, recognizable and remarkably preserved, lay upright, while the stern was twisted and crushed by the immense pressure of the descent. Ghostly objects surrounded both halves: porcelain plates, shoes, champagne bottles, even pieces of furniture. It was a haunting museum of tragedy, untouched by time. Inside, Jason Jr. maneuvered through broken corridors and grand staircases, capturing eerie footage of chandeliers, door frames, and a piano now home to deep-sea creatures. Every image evoked both wonder and sorrow. Ballard made a crucial decision. The Titanic would not be disturbed or salvaged. It was a gravesite, a sacred memorial resting beneath the sea. Instead, his mission was to honor it through knowledge and preservation, letting the world remember the ship not as treasure, but as a lesson in humility and history. When news broke in September 1985 that the Titanic had been found, It sent shockwaves across the globe. Newspapers from New York to London ran front-page headlines. Television networks interrupted broadcasts, and millions tuned in to see the first images of the lost ship. For decades, the Titanic had lived only in imagination, reconstructed through eyewitness accounts and paintings. Now, photographs from the ocean floor revealed the truth, rusted but majestic, still resting in silence. The world felt a strange mix of awe, sadness, and relief. Survivors and their families were overwhelmed. Many expressed gratitude that the ship had finally been found, as if a long-lost relative had been laid to rest. Others felt uneasy, fearing that the wreck would be disturbed or exploited for profit. Ballard assured the public that his discovery was a scientific and historical endeavor, not a commercial one. "We found her to preserve her memory," he said, emphasizing that the site should remain untouched, a memorial to all who died that night. The discovery reignited global fascination with the Titanic story. Books, documentaries, and exhibitions soon followed, fueled by public demand to see more. Museums displayed models, recovered photographs, and digital recreations of the wreck. The tragedy that had once been shrouded in mystery now had a physical reality, and people were captivated by the haunting beauty of the ship's decay. Governments and historians began discussing how to protect the site under international law. Could a sunken ship be considered cultural heritage? Who owned it? The company that built it, the nations that lost citizens, or humanity itself? The Titanic had once been a symbol of luxury and ambition. Now it became a symbol of remembrance and respect, uniting the world in reflection on life, loss, and the price of human pride. In the years following its discovery, the Titanic's resting place became one of the most closely studied and most fiercely protected shipwrecks in history. Scientists, historians, and governments recognized that the wreck was more than debris. It was a time capsule of 1912, preserved in a silent, alien world. Yet the same ocean that had protected it for decades was now slowly destroying it. Bacteria feeding on the ship's iron created rust formations known as rusticles, eating away at the metal and weakening its structure year by year. Robert Ballard's principle was clear: the Titanic should remain untouched, a memorial rather than a museum. But not everyone agreed. In the late 1980s and 1990s, salvage operations began retrieving artifacts from the wreck: jewelry, china, letters, and pieces of the ship itself. These items were later displayed in exhibitions worldwide, stirring both wonder and controversy. Critics argued that disturbing the site was akin to grave robbery, while others believed preservation through recovery was necessary before the ocean claimed everything. To prevent exploitation, the US, the UK, France, and Canada negotiated treaties recognizing the Titanic as an international heritage site. Strict guidelines were established. No one could disturb or remove items without permission, and all expeditions had to focus on documentation and conservation. Advanced imaging technologies, including 3D mapping and autonomous underwater vehicles, were deployed to study the wreck in unprecedented detail without contact. Today, the Titanic continues to decay, but its story remains immortal. Every rusticle, every relic, every grain of silt tells a story of human ambition, error, and endurance. The ship may one day vanish entirely, but its memory, preserved through images, science, and reverence, will endure far longer than steel. The Titanic is no longer just a shipwreck. It is a monument to history resting in the heart of the sea. More than a century after its fateful voyage, the Titanic endures as one of history's most powerful symbols. It represents both the brilliance and the blindness of human ambition, the belief that technology could conquer nature, and the tragedy that proved otherwise. The ship's rediscovery in 1985 rekindled that story for a new generation, turning myth into memory. Yet, the Titanic's real legacy lies not in its wreckage, but in what it continues to teach humanity about humility, innovation, and remembrance. Every decade, new expeditions return to the site, armed with technology unimaginable in 1912, autonomous submarines, laser scanners, and high-resolution cameras that map every rivet and beam in exquisite detail. Each visit reveals something new: a teacup still balanced on a shelf, a child's shoe half buried in sand, or a clock frozen at the moment of impact. These glimpses remind the world that the Titanic was not merely a vessel. It was a floating world, carrying stories, dreams, and lives that ended too soon. The Titanic's cultural impact has also deepened with time. Films, documentaries, and exhibits have turned it into a universal story about progress and loss. It continues to inspire scientists, artists, and explorers who see in it both warning and wonder. Even as the ship decays beneath the ocean's crushing weight, its legacy refuses to fade. Ultimately, the Titanic's discovery gave closure to one of the greatest maritime mysteries, but it also revealed something timeless: that human achievement is fragile, and memory is what endures. Beneath the cold Atlantic, the ship still rests quietly, a monument to those who built her, sailed her, and perished with her. The Titanic may be gone, but her story, like the sea itself, will never sink.